Question number 12, Julie Ann Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, would he support Budget 2013, including funding for Vote Parliamentary Service, to ensure that parliamentary cleaners and other support staff are paid a living wage of at least $18.40 an hour?
Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, any considerations around Budget 2013, as the member is aware, of course, are confidential until the budget is delivered. But I would point out to the member that the Speaker is the Minister responsible for Vote Parliamentary Service. If the member has any questions about how money in that vote is spent or could be spent in that vote, she should direct those to, of course, the Speaker.
Supplementary, Julie Ann Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why would his government not show leadership and support a pay rise that would give the cleaners in Parliament a living wage and lift 37 families out of poverty when it would cost less than the salary of one minister?
Honourable Steven Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I think it's important to note that actually everybody, I think, wants to see real wages grow in the New Zealand economy for New Zealanders and their families. It's absolutely something that we are all I think most people in this House are very passionate about. But of course, for that to occur, we actually have to do the things that allows that to become affordable. Now, we've already noted earlier in this House this afternoon, in question time, the growth of the minimum wage in the New Zealand economy, and that the fact that minimum wage is a relatively high proportion of average wages. But fundamentally, for governments and organisations and companies to be able to afford further increase in wages, that involves further productivity increases, more investment, and for companies, more sales. And it's those things the government is very focused on assisting with to enable wages to continue to grow. And our record in this matter is actually pretty positive.
Point of order, Julie Ann Genter.
I appreciate that the Minister said that everybody would like to see wages grow, but I didn't hear an answer to my specific question about the government showing leadership. Why would the government not show leadership on this specific issue of the parliamentary cleaners' wages?
Two difficulties with your question, of course. One is that it's not the Minister's responsibility. Vote Parliamentary Service comes under the auspices of the Speaker. The second difficulty with your question is, of course, given in the first answer from the Minister, is he's not at liberty to discuss budget issues at this stage. Supplementary questions? Further supplementary?
Supplementary question. Is it fair and reasonable to back huge pay rises for the chief executives of our state-owned energy companies while ignoring the needs of those that clean his office for the minimum wage?
Honourable Steven Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, obviously there's a range of questions in there, and none of them are actually directly the purview of the Minister of Finance, because the state-owned enterprises make their own decisions about how they pay all of their employees. And of course, as I pointed out previously, in respect to the vote that the member is interested in, that is the responsibility of the Speaker. But in a more general sense, we of course want to see wages continue to grow. This government has a reasonably good record in the context of the global financial crisis of seeing wages continue to grow, real wages growing faster, considerably faster than the cost of living. We'd all like it to happen more, and the way to do that is for the New Zealand economy to work better, and that's why the government is working on more investment in the economy, improving productivity, improving the skills of the economy, and those are the things that can make a real difference.
Supplementary question, Julie Ann Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he stand by his comments last night on Radio Live that some employers are unwilling to pay more than the bare minimum in wages because they are greedy? And shouldn't the government set an example and take a lead on this issue?
Honourable Steven Joyce.
On behalf of the Minister of Finance, I'm obviously not aware of what he may or may not have said on the radio last night, and would have to give him the opportunity to see the transcript in that respect.
Supplementary question, Julie Ann Genter.
Has he read the wealth of literature, some of which was summarised recently in The Economist magazine, that shows increasing wages for lower-paid workers does not result in job losses and actually can increase productivity, increase consumer demand, and therefore lead to more employment?
Hon Steven Joyce.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I appreciate there's obviously a range of views on this matter, but actually it stands to reason, of course, and in effect supported by the government's advice around lifting minimum wages, that actually each time wages go up, and that does put pressure on job losses in the economy. Now, the question is by how much, and of course we do tend to place the minimum wage higher every year, but we do all have to understand that there are trade-offs in terms of the number of people employed in the economy. And the other side of the House spends a lot of time, understandably, encouraging the government around job growth, and there is a balance in that space.
Point of order, Julianne Genter.
I seek leave of the House to table the report of an investigation into defining a living wage for New Zealand, which shows that hundreds of thousands of Kiwi workers are not earning enough to pay for the essentials. What is the source of that document? Is it available to members via the website? It was prepared by the Peter King and Charles
Is it publicly available?
I'm not aware of whether it's publicly available. I have a copy of it, but...
Easiest way is to put the question. Is there any objection to that document being sold? There is. That concludes question for... Point of order.
For the benefit of the Minister, I seek leave to table some of the research from the Review of Economics and Statistics, which shows that minimum wage affects...
Source of the document?
It's from the journal, the Review of Economics and Statistics. It's behind a paywall. It's an academic journal.
Easiest way to resolve it is I'll put the leave. Is there any objection? No objection. That document can be tabled. That concludes questions for oral answer.
Question. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question. I apologise to the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Apologies accepted.
Thank you.
Would National provide a pro rata contribution from its parliamentary funding, as New Zealand First has offered to do, so these hard-working cleaners, working at Parliament no less, sometimes with 2 jobs just to get by, receive a decent top-up to a living wage? If not, why on earth not?
Honourable
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, of course, I have to defer in all these matters to members that have been in the House a heck of a lot longer than I have, and had many opportunities over the years to address these issues. But of course, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, the Minister of Finance doesn't get to determine the allocation of parliamentary parties' funding.
That concludes questions for oral answer.
Mr Speaker, I didn't ask him about the Minister of Finance's determination. I'm asking him, would he provide, the National Party provide, a pro rata funding top-up, as my party, New Zealand First, has offered to do? He can answer that question, can't he?
Well, no, he can't, because he has no responsibility. Vote Parliamentary Service comes under the responsibility of the Speaker. That brings question time to a conclusion. I call on Government Order of the Day.